Hi, in this video, we are going to talk about something that every developer-focused founder struggles with. How to market their SaaS, API, and SDKs to developers without wasting any time or money. If you're building a dev-centric product, you already know that marketing to developers is not very easy. It's simple, but it's not easy because they're very skeptical folks, they see through the fluff and jargon, and traditional marketing techniques don't work on them. But once you understand how to sell to developers, the results are game changing. Developers are actively searching for solutions like yours. They're Googling errors all day, they're debugging code, they're looking for integrations to simplify their workflow. If you show up at the right moment with the right content, you earn their trust and, more importantly, their business. But hard truth when it comes to developer marketing is that the tool is not getting noticed not because your product isn't that great. It's because you are not marketing it the right way. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. By the end of this video, if you stick with me till the end, you'll get to know how to grow your traffic, engage developers, and drive signups. All without wasting your budget or pulling off the development team and making them to write content. Let me explain you with the help of an example. You're at a developer conference standing at your booth. A developer comes over and he's curious about your product. The guy asks you some technical questions, and instead of giving a detailed answer or giving a hands-on demo to them or maybe a code along session, you tell them that our technical guy is on a break and they'll help you when they're back. You've lost that developer that very moment for life. Developers just don't want information. They want someone who understands their world, their challenges, someone who's a part of the closely knit developer ecosystem and can speak their language. The same applies everywhere. Your blogs, your website, your GitHub repos, all your content should speak directly to the developers. If your content isn't speaking to developers, then you're invisible to them. But don't worry, there is a solution and let's break that solution down. Okay, so far so good. The context is clear that developers don't trust fluff. They trust the content that feels real and actually helps solve their problem. Cool. Now, as I say problem, it should be very natural for you to start by addressing the specific challenges. What's hard about using your product? What are developers Googling when they get stuck? That's the starting point, right? So for example, you developed an authorization SDK, you provide authorization as a service, you developed this SDK which decouples the authorization logic from the codebase of your application. So now when you want to change the policies, you don't need to, deal with the codebase. The codebase is decoupled, you change the policies and you can do it in real time without any downtime, without risking your codebase. Cool. This is what we demonstrated for Serboss, who's one of our clients. We have written a lot of technical blogs, use case guides, integration guides, best practices articles, and all these stuff for them. They have a valuation north of roughly $30 million or so. So when you start writing content and you finalize a list of topics, the topic research should start with the specific challenges developers are Googling, because those will be naturally the high search volume keywords. So write about those things in detail, and comprehensive content always wins. It's evergreen, right? So write about debugging, optimizing performance, building integrations, make hands-on guides, and most importantly, make sure the content is written by someone who gets it, ideally an engineer. Developers know when the content is surface level and it's an instant turn off to them. If you don't have the bandwidth to hire an entire DevRel team, bring in the experts who can write the in-depth content your audience needs. And most importantly, in your content, don't overlook the visual aspects, because marketing is video first these days. Ideally, a quick walkthrough video should be there so people can follow along. People who are also a bit less technical, they can also understand with a video walkthrough, right? So GIFs or Loom videos, screenshots can make complex topics so much easier to follow along and read, right? Because they also don't want to read the entire documentation and stuff. They want to understand it very quickly. So if you are adding videos, embedding videos to your documentation, then already you are ahead of 90% of your competition. The next comes engagement. So you need to be where developers are. Understand that they're not scrolling Instagram and Snapchat all day. They're definitely not reading the thought leadership articles on LinkedIn. So you need to meet them where they usually exist, right? Where they hang out. They are there on your GitHub repository. Make sure the documentation on the repository and the README is very clear, right? The setup instructions which you have on your GitHub should be very easy to follow. They should be comprehensive. They should include sample projects. I remember a dev tool company we worked with in the past. We developed at least a score of demo application or recipe libraries for them, as they called it. So we developed a lot of sample applications which their developers and their audience used as boilerplate code, right? So we built all these sample apps for them. HackerNoon and Dev2, even Medium, are the places where you can write guides like how to integrate your tool with React or best practices for using your API, and engage with the comments and answer questions. It's not just about posting, it's about building relationship by engaging with your target audience. Now, Reddit and Twitter, these things are like double-edged swords, right? So if you genuinely are there to help people over here, you'll build a lot of credibility in the long term. But if you are just high on selling them, then you'll get ghosted. There are a lot of subreddits and even communities, tech Twitter communities. For visibility, they're great places, but you need to earn their trust. So genuinely answer the questions which people are asking, share solutions, and only pitch the product when it's directly relevant. Right? Don't just spam sell your product, because then they'll ghost you. But if you're genuinely there to answer the question and build long-term relationships with them, then that is a higher probability that you'll be able to sell them your dev tools in the future. I would suggest that don't try to be everywhere. Pick 2-3 platforms first and champion those. Pick the platforms where your audience hangs out the most and go all in on that particular platform. Championing 2-3 platforms and then distributing more makes sense, right? Cool, SEO. Yeah. If you're in the developer marketing business, every person knows this, that Google gets over 70,000 developer related searches per second, right? Developers are constantly searching for answers. And if your content isn't showing up, you're essentially leaving money on the table. Here's how to fix that. First, do dedicated and specialized keyword research. There are tools like Keywords Everywhere. There are so many other keyword research tools which give you a monthly search volume, they give you search intent. Target the high intent keywords that align with your product's features. Write long form step-by-step guides, and developers love comprehensive detailed stuff, right? So include code snippets, include diagrams, make clear explanations, include a hands-on demo application, add GitHub repo link to that. One guide I wrote for a client boosted their organic traffic by approximately 300%, right? So even one guide can play a very instrumental role in boosting their organic traffic. It has the potential to 2x, 3x your organic traffic. To rank on Google snippets, there's a strategy I called value first approach. It's exactly what it sounds like. You deliver the most valuable part of the answer right away, and then explain or expand on it below. Let me explain this to you with an example. Let's say a developer Googles how to integrate Next.js with Firebase. Your blog title already matches the intent, which is great. Now, in the first paragraph, you write, short answer. To integrate Next.js with Firebase, you'll first install Firebase using npm, initialize the app with your Firebase config, and use the Firebase admin SDK for server-side rendering. Below, we'll walk you through the exact code snippets and setup process. If you exactly notice what happened here, you gave them the quick, direct answer they're looking for. If that's all they need, then they're satisfied. But most developers want more context. So below, you'll dive into the setup. Installing Firebase with the npm install Firebase command, configuring it with the Firebase console, and so on. This approach works because Google's AI prioritizes content that delivers value quickly. If you start your blogs with the exact answer to the question, Google's algorithm is more likely to pull your content into the snippet. It's all about aligning with how search engines and readers consume content now. We have the attention span less than that of a goldfish, so remember that when writing for snippets, always think value first. Deliver the answer upfront and break it down for those who need more context. Like, it's that simple. Coming to case studies, developers don't care about the bold claims you're trying to portray, like we are the best API platform out there or our SDK is revolutionary. They don't give a damn. Like, what they care about is the proof, the real life applications of how your product is solving the problem for someone like them. That's why case studies are so powerful. By creating a good case study, you don't just say that we helped a client. You structure it in a way that developers will trust and relate to. So you structure in a certain fashion. Problem, solution, metrics. Repeat after me. Problem, solution, and then metrics. You start with the problem. What was your customer struggling with? Be very specific. For example, let's take Serbo's example once again. You're building an authorization as a service platform. The problem is that a SaaS company was embedding authorization logic into their code base. Every time they needed to update permissions or add a new role, they needed to redeploy the application again. So it required a complete deployment cycle. This process was slow, it was prone to more bugs, it consumed weeks of developers' time, and notice how specific the problems are getting. The more detailed you are about the pain point, the easier it is for developers to relate. They should feel that, yeah, this is the problem which I am facing on a day-to-day basis. Once you've laid out the problem extremely well, now you'll walk through how exactly your product solved it. Developers want to see the technical details. They don't want a vague, high-level explanation. So you should tell that we implemented Serboss as a decoupled authorization layer. Serboss uses the policy-driven architecture. The client was able to externalize their access control logic, and instead of hard coding the roles into their applications, they now manage policies in YAML files, which are updated dynamically without redeploying their application. You're showing developers not just what your product does, but how it works in practice. That develops transparency, and transparency brings trust. Now you understand why open source products are so widely used, because people trust on them. Problem done, solution done. The last step is the most important. Show measurable results or metrics. Developers love numbers. They need to quantify success, and even project managers. So here's how you could wrap up the Serboss example. Once you discuss the problem, the solution, and in the end you can write that as a result, the client reduced their deployment cycles by 50%, enabling their team to roll out role-based access control changes in minutes instead of weeks. They eliminated 30% of authorization-related bugs in production. Their app is more reliable, and now you connected the entire dots. You identified the problem, you explained how your product solved it, and backed it up with numbers, measurable outcomes. Isn't that amazing? So if you're serious about earning developer trust, start building case studies, follow this formula: problem, solution, metrics. Don't forget to include the technical details. They appreciate that a lot, right? Get into the nitty-gritties of tech. Developers do that. Cool. Next comes developer advocacy. Yeah, developer advocacy is the process in which you create superfans. A developer advocate is one who not only loves your product but actively promotes it to others. And the thing is that developers trust other developers more than they'll ever trust your ads or marketing team. That's why advocacy is so powerful. It scales trust organically. But how do you build that advocacy? Those three magic words: community, events, and open source. Create a community because developers love to connect, share knowledge, and solve problems together. Software developers have generally a very lonely and dense job. So they feel it very special when you connect, share knowledge, and solve problems together. You can create a space where they feel supported and heard. Then they'll naturally gravitate towards your product. For example, you are an infrastructure as a service startup. For example, you're Terraform, right? You could launch a Slack or Discord server where developers can share use cases, ask and answer technical questions, get direct access to your team for troubleshooting. Now imagine a developer struggling with infrastructure as code. They join your community, ask a question, and get a great response. Not just from your team, but from other community developers using your tool. That developer isn't just going to stick around. They are going to spread the word of mouth. Hey, this community is awesome. A community is way beyond a support channel. It's a place where developers can learn, share, and grow, hosting live events. So workshops, webinars, live coding sessions are a great way to engage with developers directly. They get hands-on experience. You get to showcase your product in action. So it's a win-win situation for both. For example, if you are a DevOps tool like Jenkins, you could host a live session called How to Automate Your CI/CD Pipeline in Under 30 Minutes. In this session, you walk the developer building a pipeline step by step using your tool. By the end of it, not only they'll understand your product, but they will have used it, because developers love direct interaction. When they can ask questions, they can troubleshoot their bugs live in the session, and they can hear from your team. It builds so much trust and loyalty. Last but not the least, contributing to open source is one of the best way to build credibility with developers. You give back to the community through open source. Developers respect those companies a lot that contribute to the open source libraries they rely on. Sentry, for an example, they offer the open source version of their error monitoring tool. It boosts their credibility and also helps them reach more developers who might later convert to their paid plans. If you're not ready to open source your core proposition, that's fine. You can still contribute, that's completely alright. You can still contribute by building and sharing some small helpful libraries or tools. Sponsor popular open source projects. Create integrations that make it easier for developers to use your product along with the product that it integrates with. So invest in advocacy, build a community, host events, and contribute to open source. These steps don't just grow your user base, but they also grow your reputation. And in the developer world, reputation is everything. How to distribute your content like a pro. So creating great content, you've won half of the battle, but if you don't distribute it effectively, does not matter how good it is, nobody will see it. If you think developers are going to stumble across your blog by chance, then all the best to you. But we'll discuss 3 powerful strategies for distributing content: cross-posting, repurposing, and collaborating. Cross-posting basically means canonical links. Say you've written a blog titled How to Debug a Slow API Integration in Node.js. Instead of just posting it on your own website, you can post it on Dev2 with a note at the end that originally published on the name of your website. Check out more guides like this here. So using this approach, you are driving the traffic from Dev2 to your own website. You are leveraging the built-in audience of these platforms. Remember to check the duplicate content issues. Just remember, because Google has very adverse penalties on duplicating content. So some platforms like Medium let you set a canonical link to avoid SEO penalties. Otherwise, Google can penalize like crazy. You should know how to repurpose your content, because all developers won't read your 2000 word blog. Some developer might be scrolling on Twitter. They might come across your tweet. Others might like watching videos, and some might love an infographic. So repurposing your content lets you reach the developer in their preferred format. Example, let's say you've written a blog. Now turn the blog into a Twitter thread summarizing the key steps and code snippets. You can also create a short YouTube tutorial walking you through the debugging process live. You can also create an infographic showing the common API bottlenecks and how to fix them, or a mind map. By repurposing your content, you maximize its reach without starting from scratch. You have the content ready. You just need to change its shape, size, and form, right? And each format brings new audience to your work. Coming to collaboration, one of the fastest ways to amplify your content is by partnering with people or communities that already have the audience that you are targeting. Developers trust recommendations from their peers, so collaborations can be incredibly effective. When you engage in platforms like Reddit, Discord, and GitHub, you share your content in relevant subreddits or forums. You do it very authentically. You don't spam. Make sure that your post adds value. You can sponsor relevant newsletters. Many developers subscribe to newsletters like Front-End Focus, JavaScript Weekly, and more like these. Sponsoring these can put your content in front of the thousands of developers actively seeking their new tools and insights. So when you nail your distribution, you create a stellar distribution plan, then you see an increase in visibility. So now I've shared everything with you today. I've provided concrete, straightforward value, and these are the only strategies for building trust with content, optimizing for snippets, engaging on dev platforms, creating case studies, advocacy, distribution. They are the proven actionable steps that have helped dev-centric startups grow their visibility. While these strategies sound great, execution is the key. Executing them consistently is yet another challenge. You've got a product to build, you've got bugs to fix, you've got deadlines to meet. Most founders I work with don't have the time or the bandwidth to create the high quality content and optimize for SEO or engage with dev communities at scale. And that's where I come in. I and my team specialize in taking this entire process off your plate. We are your extended DevRel team, but without the overhead of hiring, onboarding, and managing in-house resources. So it's a done for you thing. First, we'll do research. We'll dive deep into your product and your audience. We'll do a complete hands-on. We'll first use your product. We'll identify what pain points our developers are facing, and we'll take feedback from others. We'll build a content strategy tailored to your goals based on the keywords. Now we'll start with content creation. We have our writers as developers. They're not generic writers. They're software devs. They'll write the blog post designed to build trust. We ensure that our content is optimized to rank. Step 2 comes content creation. So every piece of content is crafted by experienced developers, not just generic writers. We create technical guides, blog posts, case studies, white papers, explainer videos to build trust. We ensure that your content is optimized to rank, whether it's for Google snippets, long-tail developer queries. We ensure SEO. So step 1 was ideation and research. Step 2 was content creation. Step 3 was SEO. Step 4, distribution. From cross-posting on platforms like Dev2, collaborating with communities, we help you nail the distribution channels in order to reach the developers. Step 5 is Developer Advocacy. We help you build community, host events, and establish your presence in the developer ecosystem. In short, we handle everything from ideation to execution, so you can focus on building your product while we help you grow your audience. If that sounds interesting and if you're ready to level up your developer marketing, let experts handle it for you. Click the link below to book a free exploratory consultation call. In that call, we'll take a look at your current challenges, your goals, and show exactly how we can help you achieve them. We'll also give you a tailored 3-month content roadmap that's completely on us. One more thing, if this video was helpful, let me know in the comments, share your biggest takeaway or ask a question. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to help you to take your developer marketing to the next level. See ya, take care, have a great day. See you soon.